Colin Powell now coming out and saying he has no problem with gay marriage either. There's been no place for this guy in the Republican Party for a really long time, has there?
I think he should just cut the act.
And just say, I am not Republican, at least based on what today's Republican Party is. Let's take a look at that video.
You were chairman of the Joint Chiefs when you installed the don't ask, don't tell policy in the U.S. military that prevented gays from serving openly. I know you changed your attitudes over these years, but what about gay marriage? Are you with the president in supporting gay marriage?
I have no problem with it, and it was the Congress that imposed don't ask, don't tell. It was certainly my position and my recommendation to get us out of an even worse outcome that could have occurred, as you'll recall. But as I've thought about gay marriage, I know a lot of friends who are individually gay but are in partnerships with loved ones, and they are as stable a family as my family is, and they raise children. And so I don't see any reason not to say that they should be able to get married.
All right, that makes sense to me, Louis. Does it make sense to you?
Yes.
It seems perfectly rational and logical.
And it makes sense that Colin Powell thinks this because he just tends to lean to the left on social issues.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
And let's actually get more into this Colin Powell thing, because he was on with Sean Hannity, and Sean Hannity tried to give him a runaround about a number of different topics. And Colin Powell, I think, handled it very, very well. And I actually think Hannity gets a little bit uncomfortable when there's a guest on his show that he just flat out doesn't agree with, and it's a Democrat or a progressive. He's much more comfortable being very hard on them. And this probably happens to a lot of people, including myself. I mean, I think
right.
it happens a little bit on opinion programs. At the same time, he doesn't really know how to handle Colin Powell, because in principle, in kind of the abstract sense, he agrees with Colin Powell. But lately, there's less and less points of agreement between Hannity and Powell.
And he can't start throwing around the usual terms with him because he's this Republican beacon and has been for such a long time.
So let's take a look at what happens during this interview.
And we continue now with former Secretary of State Colin Powell. His new book, It Worked for Me in Life and Leadership. It is now in bookstores, Amazon.com. All right. I know you were asked this morning with Matt Lauer whether or not you've decided about who you're going to vote for in this upcoming election. You know your endorsement is powerful. I mean, I think it had a big impact in 2008. You say you're still a Republican. Here's the question, and I'm going to go back to somebody that we both admire and respect a lot, and that's Ronald Reagan.
Of course. So, honestly, I think Colin Powell, if he is still a Republican, it's in name only, right? Because Colin Powell hasn't fit into the modern Republican Party mold for probably 15 years or more at this point. Do you guys disagree?
Perhaps he's a plant, and the whole time has been to convert Republicans.
It's part of the birther plant also of getting Obama elected. I mean, what do you think, Natan? To say Colin Powell is a Republican, I don't even know what that means at this point.
I'm not too sure about his positions on economic issues. They might align with the Republican Party, but separate from that, I mean, it could be that there are just personal reasons why he doesn't want to drop the label. Maybe he has, ties to people in the Republican base, and he doesn't want to just abandon the party, but his own views don't align with the current party.
That may be the case. All right.
And I mean, he's a military man, too, and military folks usually align themselves with the right.
Let's take a look at one more clip.
He is not going around the world apologizing for everything. I take exception with that, and I don't think we have enough time to get into the details of that. Yeah. All sides of this government, in the executive branch and in the legislative branch, the president doesn't pass appropriations bills. The bills are signed by the House and the Senate and then come to him for signature. And so if the Congress doesn't want to see those kinds of expenditures taking place and the numbers going up, don't pass the bill.
Senate Democrats haven't passed a bill in over 1,000 days.
Right, more than 1,000 days now. 1,100, 1,200 days. Well, then why does it keep going up? I mean, the bills that they haven't passed aren't bills that are going to cut things.
None.
And here's the other challenge that both.
All right, so he's making really good points here, just telling Hannity. It's funny, for a military guy who's not a politician, as he states during this interview, he sure knows a lot about the political process and knows that the idea that Obama, the premise of the question was that Obama is a spending guy, he's raising the debt, all that stuff, which we've dispelled on the show. And Hannity doesn't even know how to react to this stuff. I think Powell's actually pretty interesting in this interview.
Yeah, it sounds like he did a good job. And let's face it, he has been a politician for quite a while now, albeit for most of his life he wasn't, but he certainly is now.